Welcome to Megapath Presents. I'm Ronnie Hayes, and today let's talk about the new characters in the world of The Walking Dead called the Highwaymen. Sorry about yesterday. I didn't put up any content yesterday. I was just under the weather. But let's get right into this because I'm getting a lot of questions from people that are thinking the Highwaymen are this big twist that'll end up betraying our community. And I feel like it's likely that could be the out case, however, or it would be likely that is the out case. However, I just kind of feel something is off with another group that we take in that we don't trust. Mainly because Michonne's character went through something where she didn't want to take people in. And the other communities went against that. And in order for them to be proven right, and Michonne's story to come full circle, in a way, it doesn't directly have to affect Michonne, but it can be another example of why not everyone's bad, of why it is okay to take the risks or sometimes worth it, because now they have people who are more than willing to help clear the roads and patrol them, make them safe for travel between communities, which is growing increasingly more important because of trade. Like I said before, trade in this world is so very important, and that's why understanding what's going on in the story is helpful to understand what parts of the story they're trying to give us, because in this setup, like I said, if one community has all the wood, they're wooded out like crazy, they got all the timber, they could build houses and this and this and this, but another community has all the nails, no one's building houses. I know that's a poor example, but my idea, or a better example, would be one community has all the lumber. Another community has so much food, more food than maybe their community can even eat, so they have extra to trade. The other community has so much lumber, now they can trade the lumber for the food, and then Kingdom can start feeding its people properly again, and then the Hilltop can maybe possibly expand, or whatever it is, whatever they would need, make repairs, this, that, and a third. So trade is essential for these communities, so I think it would benefit the story. Maybe one or two of them are not good, not nice, it's fine. But it would benefit the story if the Highwaymen were actually just, that's it, people trying to survive. Now, Angela Kang did a recent interview. So, needless to say, I want to make it clear, I don't think there's any hidden, like, oh, they're going to turn bad or whatever. Angela Kang did an interview and she explained that the idea for the Highwaymen came from like a think tank meeting with the writers of the actual episode, and they thought it would be neat to go in this out of left field direction, out of nowhere. And I know for some fans that was the problem with it, is it did feel like it was way out of nowhere. I think it was just laid on a little thick with how it was in the show, combined with the music and the setting and just everything. I think it was just a little thick is why it was came off a bit cheesy for some. I like the idea of running into people out there because there's going to be people all over the place. It's not like everyone you run into is going to be the next big villain, the next big survivor. You're going to just run into random people that are survivors along the road, and I think these Highwaymen are a good example of that. And it does do one thing. If you're looking for one thing to really pull from the Highwaymen, is the fair coming up. I think the fair coming up is probably one of the single most important aspects regarding the Highwaymen. Oh, and she did clarify this. I see people still talking about this in really weird theories. And I know it's fun to have your theories, but the showrunner, and she's not trying to, cheat us or con us or mislead us, because she would do it and word it in different ways. But she came right out and said that this symbol is supposed to mean the horizon. So you have the road here, and artists will know if you draw a road and it's thin towards the end and it widens out, it actually gives it that perspective to see like the horizon and the road continuing deeper into the image, So that's what this image is supposed to represent. And we're only getting one main highway guide, like a familiar face. Everyone else is just kind of in the backgrounds. I think it is neat how they do have Civil War-like clothing, like this guy and this girl, as if he does too, kind of like a Western vibe. This guy's got, they all just kind of have a Western vibe to them. But these three specifically look like something from the Civil War. And I think that might be clothing they took from a museum. But we got a main face for the Highwaymen. People are calling calling him Ozzy. Is that his name? I honestly forget his name. But the one main thing the Highwaymen can contribute to is the fair. We're bringing in all these communities. Now, keep in mind, for a smaller underlining theme, not theme, but purpose for the Highwaymen is everything we've seen so far. Add to the world building, add to the story in the future, the communities coming together, clearing the roads, patrolling the roads, and that will play a bigger role in season 10 when all three communities know that the Whisperers are out there and they pose a very serious threat. Because in episode 14, we're getting some insanely shocking reveal for the X-Scar. Please be careful in the comments. I'm sure the spoilers are out there and people are going to post spoilers everywhere, so just be careful in the comments. But and then episode 15, most likely we are getting the fair and the biggest death, amount of deaths in a single episode, probably going from episode 15 into episode 16. I'm not sure if it's going to set it up in 15 and reveal it in 16 or what they have in mind. However, the one big thing right now that the Highwaymen and their presence will do is be the community where Alpha and maybe even a different other Whisperers, in the comic it was Alpha, but she can infiltrate the kingdom by having, let's say she goes up to the blacksmith and she's talking, because there's going to be a fair with different tents and everyone's trading, everyone's having a good time. Alpha slips in. I think it would be even better for the show if she slips on a wig or finds a wig from a shop. I think it would be easier to blend. In the comic, it's different. You don't have the actor and the unique way, the features and all that. It's not the same. You can pick different features from characters, but Alpha's just a plain face, plain white chick face. Her bald head was the identifier. So when we saw her infiltrate the fair, and she was a relatively new character, we only saw her a little bit, having that bald chick in the fair for the comic, it was like, okay, that's Alpha. But for the show, it's easier for them to have Alpha put on a wig, and we're not going to be confused. Wait, who's that lady? Who is that? We know it's Alpha. So I think for the show, it would benefit if she puts on a wig. She enters the fair. She goes to one of the tents, and we hear the blacksmith say, "Oh, are you from the new community that just came in, or are you from the patrol, or however they say it, the Highwaymen group?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm with the new community." There no red flags pop off. So I do feel like that's going to be one of the bigger purposes for the Highwaymen now. No one's going to... I'm looking for the red flags. No red flags are going to go off. No one's going to be suspicious or weary because a new group just came in. They just met this new group of people. So Alpha's showing up. They don't recognize her. We can buy it. It's perfect. It fits like a puzzle piece. And then, like I said, on top of that, they will eventually, most of them, I'm assuming, if they don't make one or two of them just assholes, but most of them will be good people that will assimilate with the group, and then in season 10 help to play the story out when it comes to the Whisperers and their threats, and getting people, getting supplies, getting trade, getting information back and forth to the communities. We'll obviously see their story come back around. So that's pretty much it for the Highwaymen. I know there's not like a big, oh my god, they're not comic book characters. In the comic book, the people who patrolled the highways or the roads between the communities were community members already. They just took people from the kingdom. So they essentially took something from the comic and just created a new group to bring in and do that one role. So I know there's not anything incredibly amazing. I don't know how you guys feel. You're going to have to put your comments down below. But me personally, I think it's all right that one of the main purposes is to fill a plot hole where a character's like, oh, I'm from the other community or new community, and people, in this community on the TV show, people should most likely recognize most people. They're not going to recognize everyone from the hilltop because they're not always going back and forth. For the war, sure, but it's been years. I'm sure they've added some people, especially to the hilltop or to the kingdom. Some people have died, some people have joined. So yeah, normally it's easy to believe, especially since they're so separate, that they won't recognize them. But I think this just adds that one extra layer of protection to say the plot is crisp, and this is going to help, let that story play out without seeming strange or weird or nothing. So, but you guys put your thoughts and opinions down below. Do you still think the Highwaymen are bad guys secretly going to betray our group, or do you think they will assimilate with the group and do as they promised, clear the roads in order to benefit from some of the trade between the communities? All right, thoughts and opinions down there. I'm done talking. It's your turn.